That's it.
Keep it simple.
What?
Keep it simple.
Okay. Are we
Good
are we
morning.
on?
Welcome to Jubilee
Good
Circle.
morning. Here we are, July 28, 29,
Yeah. Hope, yeah.
28.
Hope everybody's enjoying the weather. Because when it isn't raining here, it's just as hot as this song. Okay?
Yes. Though I could use a break from the rain.
On the first part of the journey, I was looking at all my life. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rings. The first thing I met was a fly with a buzz and a sky with no clouds. The heat was hot and the ground was dry, but the air was full of sounds. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 la. La 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 la. After 2 days in the desert sun, my skin began to turn red. After 3 days in the desert, oh, after 9 days, I let the horse run free, 'cause the desert had turned to sea. There were plants and birds and rocks and things. There was sand and hills and rings. The ocean is a desert with its life underground and the perfect disguise above. Under the city lies a heart made of ground, but the humans will give no love. I've been through the desert on a horse with no name. It felt good to be out of the rain. In the desert, you can't remember your name, 'cause there ain't no one for to give you no pain. La 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 la. La 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 la. Let me hear you sing. La 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 la. La 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 la.
Still a mystery
Now,
today.
when was the last time we heard someone
What
say, "Oh yeah"?
is
in
the
here?
name of the horse?
Come on. Right? And what about the horse?
Okay, and now we are going to
Hopefully he got away
introduce
from him, you know. Went in back for a
the,
while.
the lovely. We're giving Elizabeth some exercise here, y'all. Hey, lovely Elizabeth Kane. Is it Kane? Yes. Oh, it's not O'Kane. Okay, Kane. And they're taking away, lovely Elizabeth.
So I just want to thank everybody for coming and hope that more people come, all you guys on YouTube. It's better in person. That's all I can say. You need to come. But we are thankful for all of us that came, and we have our heart open and ready to receive a new lesson for life, and that's what it's about. We're gathering to grow and to learn together. And before we start, because of the lesson we have coming up, I just really want to acknowledge the 4 directions today. We do that some, and I want to do that in the way of the way of the medicine wheel, which I was taught, was just to go the way you wouldn't think, but the best way, which is backwards. So we start with the north, and I'd like for all of us to just face the north. And what we're asking our minds and our hearts to do is to be filled with gratitude. And when I think about the four directions, I also think about the four elements. So for the north, let us be thankful for air. It's so easy to be thankful for air this weekend because the wind, please go out and feel the wind and the air moving. It's so good after this hot, hot time. And then we move to the east. And we are thankful for all the gifts of the earth. And so at the east, let us be thankful for rocks and minerals and gems and cliffs and beaches and sand and grass and roots and worms. Let us be thankful for earth for just a moment. Let us turn to the south. I think it's appropriate to think of fire in the south. We sure do have heat that feels like fire sometimes. Fire that transforms, fire that makes change, fire that purifies and strengthens. We are thankful for fire. And lastly, let us look to the west. Here we are thankful for water. Water in every form. Water that we are, water that sustains us, water that we find to play in. Water in every being, every life form. We're thankful for the oceans. I love to go and just look at her and feel the force. Water can be a great force or a great stillness. Seek out the water you need. Do you need the stillness of a pond? Do you need the raging movement of the ocean? Water has gifts. Let us be thankful for those gifts. You may be seated. I am thrilled to introduce the lady that we have today, Brenda Bishop. She runs at, I don't know if you call it a retreat or a retreat center called the Land of Two Sands, because part of it is red sand, part of it is a white tan sand. And so it's the Land of Two Sands, and I went for a weekend and found this wonderful woman who is a fantastic resource, and how I was just so impressed with how much what I was taught there that weekend resonated for us here and for Unity that I've been a part of. And so I just thought she could take us a little deeper into what we know and our practice. So I'll turn it over to Brenda Bishop.
Well, hi, and now that you guys all know my name, I live at a place called Land of Two Sands. There's white sand in the back. Oops, this is not on. Oh, do I? Okay. Sorry about that. Don't do a lot of technical stuff. There we go. Is that perfect? Okay, this is wonderful. Okay, so in the back of the property there's white sand, and in the front of the property there's red sand, and in the middle of the property they meet, and we put a sweat lodge there. And years and years and years ago, I was born in Maine, a lot of years ago, and I had no idea that I was going to end up in South Carolina. No idea that I was ever going to do anything down here, and you know our life changes, and things happen. And somebody asked me one day, how did I end up here? I said, well, I bumped my head, and I woke up, and I was here. Because I don't remember everything that brought me here, okay? It's hard to live here because it's the South, and it's way different than Maine. And Maine people are way different than everybody on the planet. My father used to say, I'm not prejudiced. I hate everybody equally. And I was like, what the heck does that mean? But then I learned from other people outside of Maine that Maine people we're very, very closed people. So I'm glad that I moved away from Maine. I love everybody there, and I appreciate my family and everything. But I know that I had a plan. I had a plan to walk a Native circle. And when I came to South Carolina, I met Native Americans down here who introduced me to a circle on the ground. And it wasn't this circle, by the way. It was not the Native American medicine wheel circle. It was a dance circle. And they were kind of skeptical about letting me walk in it, but they did. They let me. They invited me in as an outsider. And when I walked in, I felt an arm go around my shoulders, and I heard a voice in my ear, and it said, "Welcome home." And I haven't stopped walking circles since. I just haven't. It's like embedded in me. I had to put circles everywhere and everywhere and everywhere and everywhere you could think of. There were circles all over my property, and I couldn't figure out what to do with them. And then a man showed up at my house one day, and he said, "I want you to light a fire, and I want you to keep the fire lit for 1 year, 1 month, 1 week, and 1 day." I said, "And then what happens?" He said, "Well, if you do it and you're committed, we'll talk about you being a firekeeper." And I was like, wow, that's like so amazing. Okay, I'll do this. And I went out every morning at 6 a.m. I lit a fire in the center of the plateau in the backyard. And it's not a very special place, just so you know. If you ever visit my place, you don't go, "Oh, where is this plateau?" No, you're kind of there. It's just my backyard. So anyway, I put a fire there, just a little tiny one, and I kept it lit. I kept it lit. I was out there every single day, every single night, every single day, every single night. I had friends of mine that would bring me groceries because, when you have a fire lit, you have to watch it. And I had it lit, literally. Rain, sleet, hail, snow, you name it. Yes, we had snow back in those days. But I did it for a whole year, a whole month, a whole week, and a whole day. And while I was tending that fire, I walked around it. Okay, so now I'm using my finger and I'm going counterclockwise because that's my natural way of walking around stuff now. In that time, I walked around it clockwise because my teacher was a grandfather, and he was not wrong, he was just a grandfather, and that's how they walk on earth. And one day, a woman came to my house. I did not know her from anybody on the planet. I didn't know her from Adam, as they say. And she said, "What's that circle on the ground in your backyard?" And I was like, "Oh, well, it's a medicine wheel." She goes, "Well, what do you do with it?" I said, "Well, I go in there and I walk around and I talk to myself." And she said, "Well, that's an odd thing to do. Why would you do that?" I said, "Well, it's been a source of my healing, my inner healing. It's a source of me being able to connect with self, communicate with myself, and heal myself." And she said, "Really? I never heard of such a thing." And I was like, okay, well, in my head, I was like, that's kind of weird because you came here to do a sweat lodge. I kind of thought you knew what we did here. And she said, "Go in there and show me what you do." I said, okay. So I walked in, and I took a step and a half to the left, and then she softened. Now, this is a 6'6" woman in a wheelchair with white hair that goes almost all the way to the ground. And she puts her arms out to me and she says, "Come here, baby. You have walked the way of men too long. It's time to learn the grandmother way." And I couldn't stop crying. I had tears just pouring down my whole body. I could not stop crying. Over and over and over, I was just like, oh, I can't wait to learn this. Because I needed a 180 in my life. I needed something to change me so profoundly, because even though I had been following my grandfather's path for so long, I still was miserable. I still didn't like stuff. I still hated me sometimes. And if she was going to show me a different way, I would take anything at this time. So she walks me over to the medicine wheel and she starts showing me exactly what I had missed walking counterclockwise. So the medicine wheel has 12 little medium-sized circles. These right here are the gates. Right here, you see there's like white buffalo in the north. You got the golden eagle in the east. You've got the grizzly bear in the west, and you got the coyote way down on the bottom on the south. These gates obviously are the 4 directions. Okay, the eagle is east. And I asked Grandma one time, I said, why is it yellow? She said, really? I said, yeah. What's the spiritual meaning? Why is it yellow? Why do we walk into the circle at the east? And she said, because the sun comes up. And I said, and she goes, that's it. It's the only reason we do it, because the sun comes up. The sun appears in the east. We figure that we should appear in the east also. Native medicine is very, very, very grounding. It's very simple. And if you walk the grandmother way, all of the strict traditions are wiped away. You just be. You just be you. There's no rules. You can believe whatever you want to and be however you want to, but you just be you. That's it. That's all you have to do is be you. So in the southern part of the circle, it's red. And I asked her again. I said, so where's the spiritual meaning in that? She goes, you know, at nighttime when the sun goes down, what do you see in the trees? I said, well, everything's red. She goes, ta-da, there you go. And then I said, oh, and then it turns black. Yeah. And then when you're sleeping, you have like white noise and stuff. And you have your dream time. So there is no color there. And I was like, oh, well, I always taught it was, you know, the color of the people and all that stuff. She said, oh, my God, there's so many colors of different people. If we put them all in the circle, we'd run out of space. And she was a really big influence on how I started looking at my life, because everything had to be so complicated. Before she came to me, when somebody asked me a question about something that had to do with the medicine wheel, I had this big, long, drawn-out explanation. And after she came to me and told me that everything was just really, really simple, everything became just a 1-word or 2-word answer. It's just because it is. And when I found myself in here, this is supposed to be a reflection of ourselves. I'm imagining most of us have children, right? Children, grandchildren. How many times have we ever said, I wish they came with a handbook? Okay? And I'm not talking about the ones you can buy on Amazon. I'm not talking about those handbooks. I'm talking about came out of the womb, had a little book stuck to it like when you buy a lawnmower. Okay? They don't, but you know what? They did. They used to come with a book. The people that were Aboriginal that walked this planet, all over the entire planet, had a book. They got it from Mother Earth. It didn't come from another place. It didn't come with the baby. It was on Mother Earth. And that book was given to us by the plants, the animals, and the stones. Okay? All of that is in the medicine wheel. Every single one of these one of these circles in here is represented by an animal, a plant, and a stone. And they're different depending on where you live. So, like, I'm from Maine, and here it says white buffalo. Okay? This is the general Lakota wheel. Okay? In my wheel back home, we don't have a white buffalo. We have a white moose. And it's just because of logistics. It's not anything spiritual. It's not anything crazy. It's not a long, drawn-out explanation for anything. It's just what it is, the simplicity of what it is. So when I first started walking this, I was told it was a reflection of my life. So I was told to walk on the ground. And how many times have you guys been told, keep your head up and don't look at the ground when you walk? Okay? I rode horses when I was a kid, and it was awful because I always wanted to look at the ground. And they were like, yeah, you're going to fall there one day. I always wanted to see. Yeah, I want to know where the holes are. And people would say, well, your horse knows where they are. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just double checking. You know, you got to be a backseat driver. And I used to get called that all the time. Well, then when I met my native family, and they were like, oh, you should always watch where you walk on the ground. You should always see where your feet go. And eventually when I met Grandma, she said, you should always watch where your feet go when you're walking, because you never know if you have to help somebody up off the ground. You never know if you're going to step over somebody. You never know if you're going to forget about somebody. And the biggest thing is, you never know when you're going to trip. You never know when you're going to step in a hole. You never know when you're going to get to the end of the cliff if you're always looking up towards the clouds. If you're always got that ambition in front of you. If you don't watch where your feet go, you could climb up your ladder the wrong way. You could step on people and hurt people and do all kinds of things in your life. So by watching where you step, you don't do those kinds of things. And the medicine wheel teaches you how to do that by what animal you stop at in the wheel. So I have some books for you guys. You want to pass out the books? I have these books for you guys. I wrote this book. It's a workbook. So you're supposed to write in it. So everybody needs to get a pen. And these workbooks, I wrote these workbooks to try to explain the medicine wheel a little bit more I hate to say in depth because it's supposed to be simple, but it's about learning who you are while you're walking around in it. And it explains the 4 gates. It explains the east. It explains the west. It explains the south and the north. But there's actually 7 different directions in the native way of doing things. There are 7. There is east, north, west, south, up, down, and within. And the circle is about all of those directions literally at the same time. Because in every gate there are 7 animals, or 7 plants, or 7 stones. I just happen to have animal medicine, and that's why I use animals in my book. And I've tried to break it down to show you how I actually learned all of the things that I learned about the medicine wheel. I was told that it's a sacred place on the ground. And I found out while I was walking it that it's a sacred place inside of me. Okay, and I also learned that everything on earth has this sacred place inside of it. It doesn't matter if it's a blade of grass, a grain of sand, an ant, or an elephant, or anything in between. Everything on earth knows what it's supposed to be and what it's supposed to do, except who? Us. We're the ones who are looking for answers all the time. We're always the ones that are looking for what we're supposed to do next. Grandma used to say, it's as easy as living like a bear. That's all you have to do is live like a bear. She said, we would sit in the woods and watch the bear. And if the bear went to the bush and he wouldn't eat it, we wouldn't eat it. If the bear went to the cliff and only went so far, that's as far as we would go. Because obviously the bear knows more about Earth than we do. So we got all of our information from being around the animals and the plants. We would watch birds. There's certain things. I've got some stuff in my yard that the birds won't eat, but I had somebody want to pick it. I think it was at one of the earlier events this year. They wanted to pick it and eat it because it looked like blackberries. I said, you can't eat those because the birds don't eat those. And they were like, what are you talking about? They're just blackberries. I said, no, they're called dewberries, and they're going to make you very sick if you eat them. How do you know that? I said, the birds told me. How'd the birds tell you? The birds told me by not eating them. I watched the birds. I left them for the birds on purpose, and the birds wouldn't touch them. So obviously they were not a healthy thing. So if we pay attention to what Mother Earth has given us and the things that she's taught us with her animals and her plants and her different stones, then we have there's our handbook right there. All the other stuff we made up. All the other stuff we made up. You know, everything is in the medicine wheel. Respect is in the medicine wheel. Knowing where to heal, asking each other for help, and things like that. So when I walk the medicine wheel counterclockwise, yeah, and you know what? No, you didn't. You did them perfect because there's no such thing as wrong and no such thing as right. Okay, when I first walked the medicine wheel, I always walked. I came in the east and I walked to the south and went around this way. And I was still lost, right? I was completely still lost and I didn't know what I was doing with myself. And I couldn't figure out why. Okay, so all of us are in a kind of elder, I wouldn't say elder. We're in an older category, okay? We're mature category. Okay, so we hear about these things called apps. And we sit on our phones with them and we're like, it's not working. We don't know how to make the buttons work and it's frustrating. Well, when you walk in the medicine wheel clockwise, if you look at the bottom of the wheel, this right here, where it's yellow and red right here, this is life. Everything that happens to us in our life is right here. Okay? So what happens is we get thrown into the medicine wheel and we come down here and we're given our app. And then we look at it and we're like, what are we supposed to do with that? What are we supposed to do with this app? Well, and then you got somebody who tells you really quick, well, push this button, and it still doesn't work, right? So it makes us frustrated. And right here is Beaver. Now, when you walk this way in the medicine wheel, we think he's destructive. We don't like this app, right? This app is stupid. Why do we even want this stupid thing? It doesn't work. It's horrible. We don't want it. Okay? And then we go down to Deer. Deer is supposed to be about awareness. Well, I was aware. My phone was on. Okay? But you weren't aware of what button to push next because there's no instruction for it. Okay, then we come down here and we want somebody to feel sorry for us. So we have to tell everybody in the world how bad this app is, right? This app is stupid. We make videos about it. I try to use it. We got to tell everybody in our family how crappy it is, right? We just have to tell everybody. So we're not healing from it, obviously. We're actually, really angry and destructive, and we can't think about it. Then we go over here, and now this stupid app is bothering us so bad because everybody else is using it, we're out of balance, right? We're all out of balance about it. We can't figure out how to get it done. And then it won't stop bothering us, so it seems like the app is even bigger. Because every time we talk about it, it becomes more evil, and it becomes more bad, and this thing that they shouldn't have out there, and they should figure out how to use pencils and paper like we used to, and all this stuff. We keep adding stuff to this app and making it even more horrible. And then somebody comes up to us and says, oh, you should really try to live in the moment with that. And what happens? We explode. Don't tell me to live in the moment. Are you kidding me? Do you know what I have gone through? Do you know how many animals I just went through in the medicine wheel to try to get this app to work? Okay, but if you come into the medicine wheel and go the other way, if you come in and you go this way first, you come into Golden Eagle, and Eagle promises you joy with a little bird called Hummingbird. How many of you guys have looked at a hummingbird and said, oh, that's horrible? None of you, right? You're like, oh, the hummingbirds are back. We've got to get our feeders out. You've got this pretty red color all over your backyard, and you're feeding them, and you love the colors of them. You're all excited, right? It's amazing. And then we have Owl. Owl, we talk about wisdom. Let's not talk about wisdom, though, because he never read a book. He never read a book. Yeah, my grandma told me that, too. Remember, animals don't read books. Okay, but think about Owl. He's got his eyes open in the dark. He can see way more than we can. He can move his head all the way around to the back on both sides. So he's got all of his bases covered. He knows what he's looking at, and we're promised. These three things right here are promises in the medicine wheel. They're not gifted to you right away because you haven't done anything to earn them yet. You got to walk to earn these things. So you're promised eyes wide open to the world. And then you come to this little guy right here, Firefly. He's a light in the dark. How many of you do you remember, because there's not a lot of them around anymore, but I remember sitting in the backyard and being in awe of all the sparkly lights all night long and all night long. I had no idea when I was a child that that was a promise from myself to myself that I would always have a light in the dark. And when Grandma explained this to me in the medicine wheel, from, like I said, from the other side, I was amazed. So now we've been told that this app is going to make you so happy. It's going to make you aware of your surroundings, and it's going to be a light in the dark for you. You're like, wow, this is incredible. So this app isn't that bad. This is really cool. Okay, the first thing, the app says, so who are you? Who are you? In the medicine wheel, there's a cougar and a wolf at the first stone. Okay, so now why is there? In the wild, a cougar male is all by himself in the wild. And he knows everything about his mountain. He knows where every rock is, every tree is. He knows where every cliff is. And then he hears the hunters with the dogs. But he's got a trick for them up his sleeve, because he knows his mountain so well that he knows where that cliff is, that he can jump from one cliff to the other and make it. And the hunters can't jump that far. The dogs can't jump that far. And as a matter of fact, if you go to the edge of that cliff and you look over the edge of it, there's a whole bunch of bones down there of hunters and dogs that have tried and they can't make it. And the lesson in that is that men that feel like they're being chased, feel like their life is just not right, if they slow down and they take a deep breath and they understand that they are built to handle whatever has been given to them, if they understand the body of that big cat, when he gets to the edge of the cliff, he has powerful hind legs. And he knows that if he uses those hind legs, he can shove himself off that cliff. And he has powerful muscles in the front and in his front legs. And he knows that when he lands on the other side, he is going to land safely. And you know what that's called? A leap of faith. It's called a leap of faith in yourself. Okay? Nobody's picking you up off the cliff and putting you over there. That is, I don't care. You could wait on the edge of a cliff forever. That's never going to happen. You have to learn how to jump over there. That you have to do it yourself. So it's a leap of faith. Okay, for women. Now this is why men don't want to be wolves. I know a lot of guys like wolves, but I'm going to tell you why it's not a good idea. Because in the wolf pack, the female is the alpha. She is the one who runs the pack. She's the one who picks out the females that are allowed to have puppies for the next year. She's the one that tells them when they need to hunt. She's the one who tells them when they need to stop and camp. She's the one that tells them where the dens are going to be. She's in charge of everything, and her mate is nothing more than an enforcer. She stands on the cliff and says, "We are going to do this." And he stands behind her and goes, "That's right, and if you don't, I'm going to kick your butts." And she goes, "Thank you. I can kick their butts myself, but thank you for the help." Okay? What happens to men who embrace wolf energy is they walk around behind other people, females mostly, but other people too, and they just yes them. Yes, 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 I will do whatever you want me to do. I will do whatever you want me to do. I will do that. Well, men don't want to do that. We want men to be like cougars, where they have that leap of faith and they know themselves. This is the place called of the reflection. So you're seeing yourself. The app said, "Who are you?" Okay? As a female, you're a leader of yourself. You could lead other people, but you're a leader of yourself. And you have 3 people inside of you, me, myself, and I. That means you have 3 wolves inside of you that lead you through certain things. So now you have a reflection of yourself. You know who you are. And then the next one is otter. Okay, this is a very important one. So what I want you guys to do is I want you to just relax as much as you can, close your eyes, and I want you to repeat after me. Repeat these words. And after you repeat them, I want you to sit with your body for just a couple of seconds and see how it feels. Okay? Where are my otters? Say it out loud. Okay. Where are my otters? Where are my otters? Okay. So now you should feel something in your body that comes from an inside place to let you know you're not alone. Some of you guys will feel a hug. Some of you guys will feel something over your shoulders. Some people will feel something. Yesterday I had a little girl feel something in her chest. And no matter when I say it, I always feel right down my arms and down my legs. What that does is that shows me that I'm not alone. So you're not alone with this app. You just need to calm down and read it, right? You just need to calm down. Everything you need to know about that app is already inside of you if you calm down. Okay, so you've got a reflection of yourself, and you know you're not alone, and now you come up here. Now you got a choice to make. Is this app really what I want, or should I get another one? Should I ask for help? What kind of things do I need to do? Well, if you know yourself well enough, you come up with the courage to ask. You come up with that place inside of you that can figure it out. Okay? So you have all these decisions to make up here. But then you come up to White Buffalo. White Buffalo also has 3 gifts for you. Remember, these are promises and these are gifts. The first gift is raccoon. Raccoons are known for washing their food before they ingest it. So we have to wash information before we intake it, right? Because it has to be for us. So we look at the information. Is this information that's for us or not for us? And then earthworm is right here. And you mentioned earthworm today when you were doing your thing. Earthworm is right here, and then in the north also. Earthworm teaches us that we should do one task at a time. So when that young person comes by and pushes like 50 buttons for you really quick, and you want to punch them, you need to tell them, no, press one button at a time so that I can see what you're doing. But you have to speak that out loud. How do you do that? You communicate it to them by using Dolphin. So he gives you those 3 gifts. He gives you the gift of making sure that something's right for you, only doing one task at a time, and communicating through that task by using Dolphin. When we move on through the wheel, there's all kinds of information in this black section right here. This is all about knowledge, the white section. The black section is all knowledge too, but it's all knowledge that comes from our ancestry. It's all knowledge that someone else has done before us. And it's all about putting it out there to ask for this information. So we're trying to use this app, so we go to somebody who's used it before. Somebody who's our age or a little older or something, have you used this app before? And they go, oh, yeah, it's real easy to use. Sit down and I'll show you how to do it. And then they notice that your phone is full of a whole bunch of stuff you don't use. So you move on to the next circle, which is Snake. And Snake has a really, really bad reputation for a lot of reasons. Okay? But you know what? It's just an animal. I'm absolutely positive that I have never met a snake anywhere on the planet that's ever read a book. So it doesn't know any of those stories. It's just a snake. Every time a snake grows, they shed something. So what happened right before you saw a snake? You were given some information by somebody to help you grow with the app. And then that person said, oh my goodness, that's why the app doesn't work on your phone. You have so much junk on there that we need to clean some stuff out. When snakes grow, they shed their skin. Okay, and if you've ever seen a snake doing it, while they're doing it, and they need to do it, if they don't do it, then their eyes are clouded over, their nose and mouth is all clouded over, and it gives them cloudy vision of their life. So that's what happened to you when you walked this way. Your snake didn't shed anything, so now you couldn't look at the app anymore. But when you walk this way, and someone tells you, hey, let's get rid of all this junk on your phone and the app will work even better. You're all excited about it then. And then you go down to Raven. And Raven has even more ideas of what you can use this app for. All brand new stuff you never heard of before. Kind of like what we're doing right now. And then you get down to Grizzly Bear, the West. At Grizzly Bear, your ancestry comes in once again. And in this place, you run into people that have whale medicine. Whale medicine is people that can come up out of the water and navigate. Okay? So you've run into somebody now that knows not just how to download the app, but now they know how to open it and actually use it. They're going to give you their experience with the app. And then they're going to give you an introspection with Mouse. All the little tiny details about the app that's really cool. Like, if you push this button, the app does this. If you push that button, the app does that. And it shows you how to use that app. And then there's Ant. And these also are gifts, just like here. And Ant gives you strength. How many times have you been working on something and you just throw it down and you're like, that's it, I just give up? You don't have any more strength to go on. Okay? Well, Ant will add strength to you actually using the app. How many of you guys have ever used a computer program that you're so excited that you did it? It's like when I was writing the book, I had to go through, oh wow, you don't even want to know all that stuff. It's amazing to publish your own book. And I got to the end and I pushed the last button, save. And I looked at my roommate and I said, oh my God, you're not going to believe this, but I just finished a book. And it was that was my first book. And I was so excited that I had gotten through all of the turmoil. I had suffered through all of the edits. I had suffered through all of the stuff. But if I had been walking my wheel the other way, there would be no book and we wouldn't be talking about anything. Because my mindset would still be where it was before I met Grandma. I'd still be saying, well, I'm doing this wheel thing because it's an Indian thing to do. And by the way, I'm actually 3 different kinds of Indian. My father is a Penobscot Indian. His people were called the people of the dawn before white people came. And my mother is a Passamaquoddy, and she was called the people who fish with spears before the people in the boats came. And her mother was a Micmac Indian. Now, Micmac is a French word that means ally, and we were not allies at all. But we were the fire keepers, and that was our original name. So this wasn't something that, like, the Indians gave me. They left it on the ground for everyone. And I am a 7th generation in the medicine. And if you read anything about Indians, they have these prophecies that the 7th generation is going to be the generation that passes this information on to the humans that are still on Earth so we can save our mother. All of this information and everything that natives do, not all of them, but the ones that work on this stuff, it's all because we need to save our mother in the end. And being 7th generation, I get a lot of flack about sharing this kind of stuff with people because this is supposed to be the most sacred. The grandmother way is the most sacred way. Walking the other way, they teach that to the people because they're like, well, then they get all lost and they can't find themselves. And Grandma explained that to me. She said, that's why we've been taught for years and years and years to go clockwise in the circle. It's because the information the other way is so sacred and so eye-opening. Like, which story did you like better? Did you like the bottom story where the app never opened up and never worked? Or did you like the top story where you could walk through it, you know, animal by animal by animal, and actually figure out how to open up the app? Life is exactly like that nowadays. Now, way back in the day, I probably would have taught this different if we were people that, like, just were a bunch of farmers and just trying to struggle through everyday life, you know? But back then, they did live moment by moment. They never knew what the weather was going to be tomorrow. There wasn't anybody telling them. Grandpa would smell the air. Okay, it's going to rain tomorrow, probably about 3 o'clock. And guess what? At 3 o'clock, it would rain. Now we got all these guys and women on TV that are telling us when it's going to happen, and then we're disappointed when it doesn't. It's because we lost our connection. So having our connection. And I hope I gave you, you know, some information about this and tried to explain it in a way that was, you know, more understandable than I usually do at the retreat. At the retreat, a lot of people are repeat people, and I kind of nail them with this. You know, they'll ask me a question about themselves, and I'm like, really? Have you done da-da-da-da-da? Because it's my job. But here, I needed an easier, and not just here, because I got to do this again this afternoon later on, but I found that it's easier if we bring it into our real life now, you know, like thinking about apps and all of our computer equipment or anything. But does anybody have any questions about anything?
I do.
Okay.
When you walk the wheel,
Mm-hmm.
how do you get the idea of what animal characteristics you need at that time in your life?
Okay, so what I do, and in your book you have pictures of this thing, right? I wrote that book with a certain kind of intention. I told the book as I was writing it and as I was making the little maps, when people touch this map with their finger, they should come in the east gate and they should go to the north and go all the way around and feel it. And when they feel something, a little tingle in their finger, they should stop there and see what animal is there. Whatever animal pops up to you through that feel is where you are in this moment. It doesn't mean forever. Sometimes it's where you were born, and sometimes it's not. The wheel just feels where you are because it is you. It just tells you, oh, by the way, you're having a problem right here. Now, Grandpa told me on the first day of my walk around the fire that everything I ever needed, I would find if I walked through the fire. So the fire is in the center of the medicine wheel. It says creator, but it's fire. If you go to the rock you stopped on and you go directly across the fire, you will find a rock across from it. And that animal has the answers to what's going on in your life right now. So say, just as an example, you stopped at sturgeon. Okay, sturgeon should be, I don't know, right here. Okay? Say you stop, just say you stop there. That means that you are having a lot of obstacles in your life right now. A lot of things are going on with your life. You might even have one of those lives where every time you finish an obstacle, there's another one, and another one, and another one, and another one. If you have a life like that, unfortunately, I have to tell you the truth. You guys signed up for that. Okay? But you have a contingency program worked into that. And if you go across the fire, you should find otter. Okay? What did we just do? Yeah, see, I just said the words and I got all goosebumps again. Okay? If you go to otter, you find out that those obstacles in your life, everything that obstacle is doing, you have everything inside of you to go through it, regardless of what it is. And if you look at the obstacle through otter's eyes, otter goes, oh, that's just a lesson. That's just a lesson. Now, I can't tell you how many times. Now, I'm still human. If you guys think that I walk this thing every minute of my life, you're wrong. But you know what happens when I have a moment where I'm a disaster? I'll reach out to them. I was in my car one day and I was lost in Colombia and it was horrible and I couldn't find the building I was looking for and I was like, oh my God, will somebody just help me? And all of a sudden, and I kid you not, a hawk, a red-tailed hawk, flew down right in front of my car and dragged his feet across my windshield and landed on a building. And when I looked to see where he landed, it was exactly what I was looking for. I was like, well, there you go. I was like, there you go. I just needed to have a little fire inside of me because hawk represents fire. I said, I need a little fire inside of me to get upset. I needed to expel some energy so that I could have some new energy come in, and hawk showed me where to go. However, I have also been in my car and had this overwhelming sadness come over me, literally for no reason. No reason. Not thinking about anything. I'm just driving home from the store. And I'm so sad I can't stand it. And I yelled at the animals and I said, all right, whoever takes care of this stuff, you're not on your job and you need to fix this. And by the time I finished saying it, I wasn't sad anymore. And I didn't even remember that I was sad about anything by the time I got home. But I remembered it so that I could use it as an example now. So reaching out to these animals, if you look up the nature, and there's some of it written in the book, very short little synopsis, because the nature of each one of those animals are in a book like this big. You know, if you actually sat with a family full of beavers, you'd write a book this big about what they did, probably in a day, okay? So what you do is you Google those animals and stay away from anything that says spiritually. If it says spiritually, these animals think like this. Okay, that bozo shouldn't have wrote a book. Because animals they have no concept. They never read the book that the guy wrote, so they don't know how they're supposed to feel spiritually. Okay? You look at their true nature, and I will guarantee you that every time you look at the true nature of the animal that you need to use in the moment, you will absolutely find what's going on with you in that nature. And you can use how they react to something that's going on in their life, in your life, to fix what's going on. Like on the way here, okay, I always get weirded out when I see the blue lights, right? So I'm in the car and I drive with my spirit keeper is the white buffalo. And I'm driving with the white buffalo and I'm like, okay, invisible, invisible, invisible. Okay, when I say that to him, that means the cops can't see me. Everybody else can, but the cops can't see me. Because I did a ceremony with my white buffalo a long time ago and told him, look, I don't drive over the speed limit and I don't do this and that and the other thing, but I'm one of those weirdos that don't like to wear a seatbelt. So when I get around cops, I need to be invisible. And he was like, well, just tell me when. And so I saw the lights up ahead and I went invisible, 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 and went right by them and had no problem. I didn't even really see them, and I know they didn't see me. I've actually had a cop almost hit me one time, and he stopped his car, came over to my car, and he goes, oh my God, are you okay? I said, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, it was like you were invisible. And I looked at him and I said, well, I was. He did not get why, and I didn't want to explain to him why, but he did. He told me, he said, oh my God. He said, I didn't see you until the last minute. It was just like you were invisible. All of these animals are yours. They're not mine. They don't belong to the native people. They belong to Mother Earth just like we do. And all of these are in us. If you do any kind of DNA research about animals, we were like the leftovers. It was like Creator was like making stuff, and then he had a bunch of crap left over, and he said, okay, I'll make them long and skinny and 2 legs, and look, they're going to look really funny looking. We're going to make them all different colors. Ta-da! And we were supposed to be in the middle of the food chain, but our brains got ahead of us and brought us to where we are now. We were supposed to be the balance on Earth. We were supposed to be right in the middle. We were supposed to be food for the big giant animals, and we were supposed to eat like the rabbits and stuff. But we decided that we wanted everything to be a pyramid. And that's not how it was made. It was made in balance. We were supposed to be right in the center. And one day, when everything gets the way it's going to get, we'll be back in balance again. That's the day I'm living for. After that, I don't want to. I'm waiting for that every day. Just let it happen tomorrow. I think I yelled it this morning on the way here. Why can't it be right now? You know? But yeah, so has anybody else got any questions?
Are you aware of the Coriolis effect?
The Coriolis effect?
Yes, in the northern hemisphere, water spins counterclockwise, and the southern hemisphere goes clockwise. Well, anyway, I always attempt, whenever I'm doing something that requires a circular motion, to go counterclockwise. You know, this is the northern hemisphere.
That's an old grandmother of yours helping you walk that way on Earth. Yeah.
A cup of tea or something like that, it's always counterclockwise.
Yeah. It's called walking into the wind. Okay, Grandma said that if you walk up to the buffalo with the wind at your back, he'll run from you. But if you walk up to the buffalo with the wind in your face and you put your hand out, he will come to you. Don't do this in a park. That is a big no. Do not go to a park and put your hand out to a buffalo with the wind in your face because he will hurt you. Okay? But in native people, the buffalo was our giver. He was the one who sustained us. He gave us everything we needed at all times. He made sure that our grasses were fertilized so that we had plants, and he made sure that we had meat, he made sure that we had clothes, and he made sure that we had tools. He gave us every single thing we needed. He was the abundance giver. So don't do that in the park because he don't like us anymore.
I have a question. I'm actually 2 questions. And one actually concerns animals that are not represented.
They're all represented. They are all represented. The thing is, these are 36 stones. And when you put all the stones in where they belong, it's a lot of information. So what I do is I categorize it a little bit like all the small animals are in the south. Okay, all the large animals are in the west. That includes like whales, elephants, giraffes, all that stuff. And then all of the birds are in the east because they're represented by more winged animals. They're in the air most of the time. And then all the animals of knowledge are in the north. Animals that bring us knowledge about the earth are in the north.
Well,
That way everybody's covered.
other thing that I noticed is that there are two stones that are represented by a wolf, and there's one in this east,
Uh-huh.
and then one in the southern.
Okay, well, we didn't talk about that spoke yet, so let's go there. Okay, you see in the bottom spoke in the south, and I'm almost done, I promise. In the bottom spoke, you see rabbit. Okay, where you see coyote first, you see coyote at the bottom, that's the gatekeeper there, okay? So down in that gate are the healing grandmothers. That's where the grandmothers are. And they give us these gifts to help us heal ourselves. They give us rabbit to make a good decision. Because in the wild, rabbit will freeze and pick his path before he runs so that he can get away from the fox. And then you see salmon. So salmon is also obstacles, just like sturgeon, but these are internal obstacles, like anxiety or maybe I don't like the color purple or whatever. Okay, all of those internal battles that we have with ourselves. okay? And then you see wolf again. Now, this wolf is different. This wolf, when I first started walking the wheel, the men told me that it was supposed to represent love for self. And then my husband told me, no, it represents respect for self, meaning healthy boundaries with people and making sure that you only do what's good for you and making sure that you don't love yourself to death. So my husband died in 2014, and I told him, I said, I know it's really easy for you to be on the other side because you're in a place of love. And he said, no, I'm not in a place of love. I said, what are you talking about? The other side is all about love. He said, no, it's not. He said, it's about the utmost respect. The reason that nobody on the other side ever hurts anybody is because they never do anything to hurt anybody. Never. Because the respect level is so high. He said, I died and you ate yourself into an extra 100 pounds because you missed me. He said, now how do you feel about that? He said, you loved yourself almost to death. He said, so if you had respect for yourself, though, and he didn't mean it in a bad way. He said, if you respected your body, you wouldn't have put that garbage in there and you wouldn't have gained that 100 pounds. And I was like, wow, I never thought about it like that. So that's what that wolf represents. The love, respect, we're going to do that little slash, the love, respect for self. And everybody is entitled to that. So that's why there's two wolves.
Why no cats?
Why, oh, there's cats. There's cats in there. Yeah, the cats go along with the cougar. All the cats are in the north. Yeah, cougar is at the top of the. It's the first stone in the north, and all of the cats are represented there. There you go. Hey, we gotta have cat ladies right now, right? Yeah. If anybody needs a cat, I have a cat that's looking for a home. She's declawed. She can't be outside. So if you need to become a cat lady, huh? I have horses too. Oh, horses would be in with the large animals. Yeah, they would be in the west with the large animals. Yeah.
That's one of those stones that she took out for clarification.
What's that? The
horse.
The horse? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're there, but.
They're in there, and I have looked at a very, very, very old medicine wheel that was drawn on a buffalo hide, and it did have all the little stones in there. But you know what? Our computers don't let us really make all those tiny little circles without enter doing them. So, and you're going to see in your books that the medicine wheel represents a lot more stuff. I mean, I just kind of gave you like an overview of like how to use it. But when you read the book, please do me a favor. Don't go like through the pages and stop, because that doesn't help you. Everything was written in a specific order, and if you read it in order, it actually tells you a lot more. I found out that you can use this to communicate to people. You can use this to communicate to your significant others. You can use that. You've done that exercise with me before. You can use this to talk to difficult people, and it's all explained in there how to do it. But you know what? It's about you moving. It's about you walking the wheel in a constant state. It's called the circle, the spiral, and the flower, so that you can look at your life when you're walking in here in a spiral. You get to look at it from different angles. And I use the example of if your car is leaking oil, if you look at just the top of it, right? You're just only looking at the top. Are you ever going to find the leak? No. So sometimes you have to look under your life for things that are leaking. And this being a spiral, and again, it's all explained in the book about, how to use it, where to look for things. And it's very there's no rules in the book. You have to interpret it for yourself. Every single word is an interpretation for self. How do you feel about the words that are written? And if those words are a little off, just replace them with your own. That's all it is. But it's just a guidebook on how to get through the medicine wheel and what to use it for. And we're all done. Thank you. I'm sorry I ran over a few minutes, but I appreciate it. Thank you for having me. I really
Wasn't that something? It really was. So we are going to bless her with some funds that are going to go towards air conditioning for the elders. So I wanted you to let you know that that is our love offering to her is then going to a love offering for the elders. There's a basket right here when you bring up your pen. Anything you put in that basket will also go to the elders. And you know how hard it is to stay healthy and cool and all, especially for older folks. Their electric bills go through the roof. So I think that's wonderful you're doing that. And so anyone that wants to help with that, the basket's there. So the band comes up for our final song. And we hope that Brenda comes back. Oh. Yeah. Yeah. I also have a crystal that these crystals appear at the retreat land. As you walk, they just appear before you like they've been rained down, but they actually haven't been rained down. They are gifts from heaven. Thank you, band.
We're going to do a special song for her.
Good.
Change things up.
Okay.
We got ones we haven't done in a while, and we're going to do elephants. Elephants? For her. Okay. Don't you think that's appropriate? I think it's appropriate,
but I hope you got a thing for me.
This is a. This is a song by James Maddock. And
Y'all should know it.
yeah, this is a song by James Maddock. We
Yes.
fell in love with this one a few years ago. And we love to do this every year, whether it's in the season that we first heard it or not, because it is so profound. And I think more people need to hear it. Don't you think that? Yeah, it is. It's pretty much. It's all kinds of them. Okay. Broke down on a country road, not a soul in sight. I lay on the back seat and I waited. We don't know what we don't know, said the man in the song. All night I had meditated. We don't know what the elements know. We don't know what the crocodile knows, what the elephants know. We don't know what the polar bears know.
We don't know what the aliens know, what the elephants know.
Before all the humans were beings at all, before Blue Eyes sang my way, the Garden of Eden was the whole wide world, not just a diner off the highway. We don't know what the antelopes know.
We don't know what the crocodile know, what the elephants know.
We
Don't know what the polar bears know. We don't know what the aliens know, what the elephants know.
lions in the jungle and the snakes in the grass are all going about their business. The seasons they come and go, and they shape the land. But what's hanging around for Christmas? We don't know what the antelopes know.
We don't know what the crocodile know, what the elephants know.
We don't know what the polar bears know.
We don't know what the aliens know, what the elephants know.
We don't know what the killer whales know.
We don't know what the buffalo know, what the elephants know.
We don't know what the porcupine know.
We don't know what the wild beast knows, what the elephants know.
Chant. What the elephants know. What the elephants know. What the elephants
Yeah.
Thank you.
The video is cool. Oh, wait a minute. We have to do one more. Don't forget that famous theme song.
But as Maestro Eckhart said, if the only prayer you ever say in your life is thank you, that will be enough.
We all walk together, hand in hand, side by side. We all walk together with hearts and arms open wide. We make way by walking, in love we will abide. The path is always open, no traveler is denied. So open up your heart, forget those tears you cried. We all walk together, hand in hand, side by side. We all walk together, hand in hand. And side by side.